Hello and welcome to the magic of human beings. Today's guest is Lina, and I would love to read something about her that Joelle Reef put so beautifully. And here we go. Lina Scheynius takes photographs. She picks flowers, kisses on the mouth, pulls on her panties, sheds tears, arches her back, rumples a sheet, waits, clutches a body part, stares in the eyes, stretches her leg, moves an insect, drinks tea, adjusts a curtain, travels, brushes her teeth, shows her breast, washes her hair, eats a fruit, shakes a hand, removes a bandage, waits patiently, flies over clouds, licks a shoulder, spreads her tights, opens a door, holds her breath, looks away, bleeds, and all under a perfect lightning, because it's her. Lina Scheynius captures, huntress, she tames. Her urge to do so was born out of the need to reclaim her image. I'm not gonna read anymore because now let's bring her in. Lina! Oh, hello, Lina!
Hello, Karol.
This is so beautiful!
I know.
Joelle, the
Hi.
way you wrote it, it's gorgeous. So I thought it was a perfect introduction, like Joelle's words.
It was beautiful to hear it. I didn't expect you to read them, so it was really nice to come on and then hear you read those words.
Oh, yes, because I was reading it. And then I was like, this will be a perfect introduction.
I even thought yesterday, I thought I should send you those words, like remind you that they existed. And then I was like, oh, she remembered it anyway.
Yes, I was reading it. That's wonderful. Synchronicity.
Yes.
Oh, how are you?
I'm a little bit nervous.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
How are
all
you
right.
feeling?
Do you want to do a little breathing before we start?
We can do that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to
How do we
lead?
do that? How are you feeling though? Are you good?
Yes, I'm good. I was excited to talk with you. I said, well, I've been wearing the same thing all day. Let me put some new earrings. So
Oh. You look beautiful.
thank you. So I got very excited. A little makeup.
Ah. Yeah. So should we do do you want to guide the breathing or
I would love you to
or you
guide.
just want me to breathe?
Yeah, breathe and I'll breathe with you.
Oh wait, I'm just gonna breathe?
I don't know. Do you want to guide?
I don't want to guide.
Okay. Well, let's look into each other's eyes.
I thought you were gonna guide me.
Let's look in each other's eyes.
Mm-hmm. It's better.
Wow, I'm feeling very emotional.
Oh shit! Sorry. I have a delivery. I have to open the door.
Going
I'm so sorry.
Go and get it, and I will read the second part. So,
Hello?
as Joelle wrote about Lina, her urge to do so was born out of the need to reclaim her image. Modeling had expropriated. From being a thought-after model, she decided and succeeded to pass through to the other side of the mirror. Oh, look, I just continue reading the...
Yes, perfect. I
Lina!
don't know if they're gonna knock on the door and if I'm gonna have to open or if it's fine like this.
They're bringing something?
Yeah.
Goodies?
Goodies, yeah.
Goodies. So would you like me to continue to read, or do you want to start?
I think it's beautiful when you read, and then if they knock, I can just run off for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So back into Joelle's words.
Yeah.
So to pass through to the other side of the mirror. Now it's only a question of offering herself to herself. Today, to aim, hold and shoot are part of photographers' everyday life. Self-representation is a discipline. And of course, the artist gives herself over, even when she's not featuring herself. Her production requires her to be perpetually her own prey. She sees dying and birthing and living. And yeah, Joelle wrote this for the collection of books.
Yes.
Which we are going to talk about it soon. Let's not jump.
No.
Lina,
yes.
Please tell us about your background.
Oh,
Where
my
were you
background.
born?
Okay.
Tell us a bit about your story, please.
Yeah, so should we talk about how we met? Or do you want me to
start? That can come later.
That can come later. Okay. So first I was born in Sweden. Yes. In a town called Vänersborg. I don't know if you haven't been there.
No.
And it was in the 80s. And I don't know, how far back should I go? Should I go into when I started photography?
It depends. It's like you can just I'm from Brazil. I'm the oldest of 5.
I'm the oldest of 2.
When I was 17. So, as you wish.
Yeah, and then I started modeling when I was 17.
Yeah.
And then I started traveling and left Sweden. And then I started doing photography as well.
Did you start that at the same time when you're modeling? Like how?
I think I started it before.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was, I didn't start it seriously. I started seriously maybe a bit later, but I got a camera when I was 10.
Nice.
I took pictures.
So at 10 years old, you got a camera, and you just start taking pictures there and then. And did you have anything, someone that influenced you? Did you have any inspiration?
I think so. I think because I had my dad, and he was always taking pictures.
Okay.
And so, I didn't have much more influence than that at that point. But
yeah, but yeah. That's great. So your dad was taking pictures. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So I always wanted to use his camera before. I was like, oh, can I use it? Can I please use it? But it was really heavy and complicated. So then I got my own, and it was like a tiny little thing. And secondhand, so it didn't matter. It wasn't too precious.
Okay. And what was the first pictures you're taking of?
It was of my birthday, because I got it on my birthday. So I took pictures I think I took pictures of my cake and birthday things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you reading the questions?
Yeah. Lina, you told your story in DayZ very nicely. Why don't you explain it there?
Oh. That was an article, a 5-page article. So.
Oh, was it a 5-page article about your life?
It was actually of have you seen? I don't know if I've sent it to you. It was of my modeling career and how I transitioned from modeling into photography.
Oh,
but it was very, very long. But I appreciate that you liked it.
Yes, thank you. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I like that. How did you transition then from modeling to photography?
Oh, that was a very, very slow process because I was modeling for a long time. And then I think I was too shy to actually show the work to anyone. So I kept doing photography, but I didn't go to school and I didn't really show it to anyone, just to my friends. And then at some point, like I figured out that you can show it on the internet, which was maybe 2006. And then I started to show it there. And then you didn't really need to, I didn't need to work up the courage to go and meet someone important and be like, hey, look at my work. I could just send it out and then anyone could find it that would want to find it.
You put all your photos, you just put them on the internet, you just share them.
Yeah.
And I guess that's not many photographers would do that because they would think about stealing ideas or stealing. Oh, how did that work?
I think now that's how people do it now. So that's a very well-known route. But I think at the time people were more concerned with like copyrights. And it wasn't yet, like people didn't know at the time that you could get successful by posting on the internet. Whereas now it's like, oh, if you want to get successful, you need to post on the internet. It's like the first thing people think of now, but it wasn't like that.
In 2006?
Back then, yeah.
Ah, wow. So you just start sharing.
Yes.
And from sharing, what happened?
People loved it, which was so amazing. And other people started sharing it. And people started to contact me and be like, oh, I love your work. And it just like started to grow and have its own little life.
Wow. So, so very organic. You put it out there and.
Yeah.
And when did you go professionally?
It didn't take that long after. So I think maybe like a couple of years. Not even a couple of years, like maybe a year later, an agent sent me an email. And they were like, do you want to do this professionally? And I wasn't sure, so I didn't answer at first. And then they emailed me again, and I was like, okay, I'm going to answer now. But it was, and then I was like, just like pushed into it. And the first job, do you know the actress Charlotte Rampling?
Yes.
Yes, so that was my first job. It was to do her portrait.
Wait a minute. Yes. In the hotel?
No, it was in my flat.
Oh, in your flat?
Yeah. So.
How was it? How did you feel?
I think I was a bit nervous. I don't know. She was she's amazing. She was so confident, and she kind of guided me through it even. Like I showed her some of my work before and she's like, this is good. And then after a while, she's like, okay, you got it. We can stop. And I was like, yeah, are you sure?
Thank you.
And then she left.
Oh. Now a question came to my mind. It's like,
yeah,
what actress did you do that was in a hotel?
Oh, that was recently. I think it was Isabelle Huppert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm glad she wasn't first.
Yeah.
I think I would have been a bit more scared.
Strong woman, huh?
Yeah, but Charlotte Rampling is really strong too. But she's like more like, I don't know, it's different.
And someone is asking, when was it that shooting?
Oh, the first one? 2008 maybe, or 7?
2008. Mm-hmm.
Maybe 7, I don't know.
And then did you start working fashion, shooting fashion? What was it?
Yeah. So then I started to shoot fashion and just fly all over the world and work for magazines and brands. And I think that's around the time I met you then, like a few years into that fashion. Right?
Yeah, because when I met you, you like were barely in. Was like we saw a glimpse of you, like, oh, in today for 2 nights and then off again. Yes. It was a big jet settler.
It was exactly like that, yeah. And you were
Oh,
always like, oh, Lina, do you want to go dancing? Do you want to go to the theater? Do you want to go do all this stuff? And I was like, no, I have to work.
oh,
No?
I have
Do you
work.
remember?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you always had to work.
Yeah. I
You
mean, I didn't have
always
to, but
work.
that was the mindset that I
Yeah,
was in.
yeah. Do you think it's being like self-employed and doing your own work? Do you feel like a pressure, like that you always need to be working?
Definitely. And especially then before I figured it out, because it takes a while to find the balance. And you sort of, I think it's very easy to overdo it and just work constantly. And then, I mean, I had so many, I think we talked about this as well. I had like after shoots, I would get a cold, or like my neck would like tighten up, or like I was running on overdrive. So my body was telling me like all these subtle ways, but I didn't really listen. So you have to learn, I think.
You'd getting automatic pilot and
Yeah.
and go and do it. And when did you learn? Did you learn?
Yes. No, I didn't. No, you know, I'm much better now, no?
I know. But for people that don't know, and what did you put in place? How did you? Anna Paula is asking, how did you learn?
Oh, how did I learn? Well, I learned the hard way, obviously. I just reached a limit where I couldn't do it anymore. And then from there, I learned like all these healthy coping tools, like meditating, going for walks, spending time in nature. I saw a therapist for a bit, and like learning to say no, taking time off, like all those things I had to learn.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes like a hard way to learn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If we could listen more to our body sometimes before we get to that point, and
yes,
but it's great. Then there is change, because then your body can't take it, and it's like, no, let's rethink this.
Yeah, I think also with age, like the pressure you can put yourself through changes a bit. Like what you can do in your 20s, maybe in your 30s become like the body might not want to. It might want more sleep and
more rest.
More rest, exactly.
More self-care, more like attention to oneself. And
but you have some, I mean, you have some good tips on these things as well, right? Because you've also been working and like doing all these really intense work things, and then being very exhausted after and having to learn how to rebuild yourself after, right?
Exactly. We talk about that as well when I go for residencies. That is a whole week that is so intense, and trying to create a show in a week and try to get things ready, and you give it so much that in the end you're like, oh, that you need another week to recover.
Yeah. So then I guess you have to learn to put that in your schedule, right? And then you have to know, you have to learn to program for that.
Yeah. Program and have some space for quiet space. Just to be quiet, not listening to anything, not just like looking at a tree, dancing outside and just staring at that. I think that for me really relaxes me when I'm have no other thing coming from the outside. I'm just staring at something and contemplating.
Yeah.
And also moving, exercise, another thing that I think it's my body, it really helps my mental health.
Yeah.
Like doing a little moving around. Even like when I started doing when I was in this residency, wake up like half an hour earlier just to do stretching and get the body ready for.
That's really good. So then you'd already taken that time for yourself before you went into the hard work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I guess, like, for example, with shoots, if you're going to a shoot and the weight in the back and all that, like, get yourself ready before. And fashion, how long did you work in fashion?
I still work in fashion.
You still work in fashion?
Yes. I just don't do so. I just don't do so much anymore. So I have a much better balance.
Yeah.
But I still do some commission shoots a few times a year.
I think my question was when it's because there was also a transition there that suddenly, like, I've seen that you focus so much more on other things.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I mean, I started out doing my own work, and then, so that was always the foundation, and that was always like what my heart was in and what I cared about. So it was, so when I started doing all the fashion work, I felt kind of pulled apart a little bit from like the thing that was really close to me. So it was always trying to pull me back. So when I could afford to, because I made money from the fashion work, and I put some away, and when I could afford to, I went back to the personal work and said, this is really what I want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kept the balance there.
Yeah.
And how hard is it to keep the balance?
I think now I'm in a very fortunate position, so it's not so hard anymore. But I've already been working. So say I started 2007. How long is that? So 14 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took me a while to get to this place and to be able to afford to turn down work. And I was good with the money that I made before, and I put some away. So now I'm in a much more comfortable position where I can turn down work and free up all this time to do the work that I really care about.
That you really care about.
Yeah.
Kathleen asked, how did you get started with fashion brands such as Jill Sander?
So that actually, that goes back to the fashion agent, I guess, that found me when I did the Charlotte Rampling job. So once I was in fashion, then like I would meet other people in fashion and other brands would notice me. So I think you just got to get your foot in the door somewhere and then like build on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And someone asked that loved your work in Jill Sander, and how do you approach the clients? Do you create a pitch? What's the process like?
Oh, so yeah. So again, here I didn't approach them, and it was just because I knew, because I had worked with a model, Maria Carla Boscano, an Italian model, like long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked with her. She chose me to, she was editing a magazine, and she chose me to work with her again.
Aha!
And then the art director for Jill Sander was there. And so like things like that can happen as well. Once you're in it.
Okay.
But I don't spend a lot of time chasing work. It's all happening very organically at this point.
So they know how to find you, like through.
Yeah.
But
when I first had an agent, like all those years ago, then my agent would always send me to meetings and send my work like to everyone they could. Okay. But thank God I didn't have to do that. I don't think I would enjoy that.
Do you think it would be hard?
Attention to me. Yeah.
Well, Martin says thank you for answering his question.
That's good.
And yes, and also like running your own business. How, like, because I do the same, like having the creative time and the business time. That's like,
yeah.
How do you separate that, and how much time you give to each?
How do you want to start? I would love to hear you do that.
I want to know because I'm pretty bad at that. So.
Are you bad at it? Are you sure? No.
Well, yes, I'm like.
Okay. I don't know if I wouldn't say that I'm bad at it. I think I'm quite good at letting the business side take over, and like spending too much time on emailing or fixing things, and then I kind of forget doing the work. So I need to like plan out time to do my work and be creative.
Okay.
Yeah. But how do you do it? I would love to hear.
I don't know. Sometimes I get to focus in the creative side, and I love what I'm doing, and then I forget about the business side. So
yes.
that's how I do it.
Yeah, so we can both learn from each other then.
And yes, we can. Someone asked if you had a great moment last year and what it was.
A great moment last year. I think I have to think a bit about that. I think last year was a bit hard, no?
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, okay, so yeah, in a way, like learning, like figuring out that I could handle solitude so much better than I ever imagined. That was a great moment because I was like, wow, I can do this.
Yeah, I remember because I was like calling you and saying, Lina, do you want to lock down here with me? You're like, no, I'm doing good. And I was like, wow. And actually, we even talked about, do you think it's because we are self-employed, so we are used to spend so much time on ourselves doing our creations? And so we even were talking about that, right?
Yep.
That would be very different for people that go every day to work for 9 to 5.
I think the shock was maybe smaller for us in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that I want to know is about, you went to this amazing place, the Ingmar Bergman Foundation.
Yeah.
And tell me, what is this about?
Oh.
How did you get invited? And
yeah, so that I applied for that. So there's an application process, and any artist, or I think even researchers can apply to go. And so after he died, the family, or I don't remember the whole story. I'm going to say it wrong. Anyway, it's open for artists now, his house, and the houses that were, so he apparently didn't really want neighbors, they said. So he bought all the houses around his house. So there's like maybe 6 houses that now artists can come and stay in. And when you're staying in one of those houses, you also have access to his house during the day, and you can sit in his house and work. And I mean, it's an incredible opportunity for artists, and it's on this beautiful island outside Sweden. And I spent, I think it was almost 2 weeks there, 2019 in the summer.
And you can go in the main house, check the books, and
yes, I had access to his library and his whole house. But unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to photograph the house because that was part of the rules. But I photographed like the nature, and I lived on the beach where they had filmed Persona.
Yes. And talking about Persona, Young just asked, what's your favorite Bergman film?
Oh, okay. Well, I got to see 3 when I was there. I mean, Persona is obviously amazing. I think that's the first one. No, I probably saw Fanny and Alexander first.
Yeah.
But Persona is the first one I remember seeing and being like, wow, what is this? This is incredible. So I got to see that one. And then Through a Glass Darkly was also filmed on the island. And then Scenes of a Marriage was filmed in this little cabin that I was staying in. So, and I really love Scenes from a Marriage in English? I think so.
I don't know.
Do you know?
I have 2
no, okay.
Scenes of America. I haven't seen that.
I really loved that one.
Oh.
It was just incredible to be there. But it was also quite overwhelming because he is so great, and he was so, I mean, his shadow was so present. So I had to battle with like, oh, the things I'm doing, are they even worth doing? You know, can you get this kind of doubt?
Because of the
just because you're right in the heart of, and like watching his things, and being in his library and you're realizing like, wow, this person did such great work.
Oh, yeah, but I guess also must be so inspiring to be there.
Yeah, that as well.
To be there and feel that presence. That
definitely, like that's the healthy way of looking at it.
Yes, let me see. Do you have a current favorite also? How do you go about model releases with friends? Since such a delicate topic.
So do you want to talk about that, Karol?
About the model releases?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I guess people, the ones that I have, it's like people just, if they want, they ask me if I can sign a release about pictures that they've taken or.
I think I've never done that. I think you do that for legal reasons, right?
I don't know.
No, but I think so. And I've never done that because if somebody would in the future tell me, please don't use this photograph, I'm just going to respect them. So I work with consent and I always ask people if I can photograph them.
I see.
And I think with this document, it becomes almost like this strange contract, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe in the future they don't want to be in the photos anymore and they've signed this thing. So I think it's better to just...
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because, for example, let's suppose they sign now and then later they're like, oh, yes, it's very delicate. They sign now
very
and
delicate.
Like, sorry, I don't want my pictures there. And then...
Yeah. And then I would rather respect them. And I think that's why my friends have been so open with me, because we have a continuous dialogue. It's not like now we shoot and you sign this thing. It's like, if I want to, no, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
And there was something that I got very excited about, even though I didn't know much, but when you went to get a prize.
Yes.
So what was that prize?
Oh, God. I was very excited too, actually. It was for
tell the prize, because look, I'm asking about the prize and I'm like, I don't know the name of the prize, the Swedish Prize.
But I sent it to you yesterday.
You sent, and I had to translate what they said, because it was like, whoa, this is beautiful, talking about women.
Yeah. So it was a documentary photography prize from the Workers' Museum in Norrköping. And I got it. The reason the jury gave this to me was because of... Did you read this? It was for how I portray women's bodies and
how you gave your own point of view, the woman gaze on the woman's body.
Yes,
that's what I found so beautiful.
Yeah,
the woman gaze, how you brought that.
Yeah, so I was really
Thank you. Because I remember when you told me, and I was like, this sounds fantastic. That is great.
Yeah, it was so good. And then I was so shy. I had to go to Norrköping and receive the award, which was really nice. But then I also have to do like a little Q&A and talk and show my work. I was so nervous.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did it go well?
I probably much better than I thought. Yeah.
Than you thought.
Yeah.
Jung is asking, if you had to shoot an actor or actress, who would it be?
I don't think I have someone in mind that I really want to shoot. I don't know. We mentioned before that I shot Isabelle Huppert, and I really wanted to shoot her. Because she's so raw and so, I just really admired her. So that was someone.
And one thing that I'm also interested, because I've been through last year, and actually we talk a little bit about it, is time when it feels that nothing's happening, when our creativity is zero. And we're like, where are we? What's happening?
Yeah.
What's happening to us?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a hard time.
It's a hard time. It's a hard time. Like creative block. And I wanted to read something about that is this Marie von Frank, a Jungian therapist. And I love fairy tales. So this is the feminine in fairy tales, which wrote something there that was like, about what we were talking about.
Nice.
Put into psychological language, we know that before a time of outstanding activity in the unconscious, there is a tendency toward a long period of complete passivity. It is, for instance, a normal condition in the creative personality that before some new piece of work in art or scientific idea breaks through, people usually pass through a period of listlessness and depression and waiting. Life is stale. If one analyzes them, one sees that the energy is meanwhile accumulating in the unconscious. So I love that.
Wow, it makes a lot of sense.
Accumulating. And
I've definitely experienced that myself, and I used to try and like keep working through it, and I would also be like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I mean, there's so much in our society, there's so much focus on the product and productivity, and we're almost obsessed with it, especially now, like on Instagram, you're supposed to post something regularly. So like you have to post something every day, or you have to post something every week, so you think you always have to produce something. But it's so normal that it comes in waves, and we have to be kind to ourselves when we're not wanting to produce something. And we just have to take that time to, whatever, like what you said earlier, like watch the trees. Or right?
Yeah, but it is. And there is that pressure that they say, like as you're saying with posting, because they say, oh, if you don't, then the algorithm won't show you. You're going to be...
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Someone is asking, when you realized that you were becoming successful, what did you do or think?
Oh, God.
When you realized, when was that?
I don't know. I was quite shocked, actually. I mean, I was flattered because it's like, oh wow, well, these people care about me. But then it was also quite overwhelming. Like I would have someone would message me like on the internet going like, hi, I saw you outside the museum yesterday, but I was too scared to come and say hi. And from that, I was like, oh my God, there's like people seeing me. And so I did get a bit overwhelmed at first, actually.
Oh, when was the first time someone recognized you?
It was really early because it just exploded. It was maybe 2008.
In London?
In Paris. And also because I shoot myself, so I am the work. Like my face is so recognizable. So it's really easy to, if you know my work, it's really easy to spot me.
So we come to the, this makes me think of Brené Brown. She says something like, I want to be in the arena. I want to be brave with my life. And when we make the choice to dare greatly, we sign up to get our asses kicked.
Oh.
We can choose courage or we can choose comfort, but we can't have both, not at the same time.
Wow.
So because your work, like getting, it's beautiful, it's intimate, but there is a lot of vulnerability on it. And she says, Brené Brown says, vulnerability is not knowing victory or defeat. It's understanding the necessity of both. It's engaging. It's being all in.
Yeah. So sometimes, like when I have shared work that feels so vulnerable, and I go to the supermarket, I'm not really open to being that vulnerable with somebody. I mean, I know this person in the supermarket is excited to see me, but it feels like a completely different place, and it feels quite scary then to sometimes when some people have come up to me and be like, oh, hi, I love your work. I mean, I know it's a really nice thing, but for me, it's been a little bit overwhelming is the right word, I think.
Yeah. Someone asked, what gave you the courage to share such private pictures?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I'm more wondering what gives me the courage to keep doing it. Because at first, when you do it, you sort of don't know what you're getting yourself into. And it's like, oh, I'm just gonna, it was kind of like this little rebellious thing. I'm gonna just send this out on the internet, and maybe some people are gonna look at it. And that wasn't that frightening for some reason. But then, like, to keep staying so open and vulnerable, that's been harder for me, at least.
That takes more courage to keep doing and sharing.
But what gives me the courage? Should I answer that? I think it's because I believe in the work, and I think it's really important to do it. So I just have to find the courage to do it.
It's because it's your passion that keeps you going. So it doesn't matter what you want to share. Have you ever taught photography for students? Do you think that your method is too organic to teach?
I mean, there's always things you can teach, right? You taught so many workshops. You can always like find things, right?
Yeah, of course. We're all so different, and we all see things differently.
Yeah. And even like describing your method, like that can teach someone something, right? Even if they can't copy it necessarily, and it is organic, maybe they can learn something from hearing about it.
Yeah. And Kristen is asking, did you also had bad experience, or have you regret anything by becoming more successfully?
Oh, wow, it's a lot of questions of success.
Oh, and Anna Paula is saying, where do I sign up? Woo! Me too, huh?
Shall we could do something together.
I would love to be on your masterclass.
Masterclass.
Lina's masterclass. I would love that. Great idea, Shushu. So, so back to
God, I thought that was a hard question.
Did you have anything that you regret in becoming more successfully?
I think, I don't know if I regret it, but I definitely learned things from it. So I don't think I regret anything, but I definitely had to learn to say no to things. And I had to learn to switch things off and to like take my weekends off, or don't log on to Instagram all the time. I had to learn all those things.
Yeah, and talking about logging out of Instagram. Oh, Roberto, he will be on the masterclass too. He just said me too. Look. Roy, my goodness.
What am I teaching though?
Photography.
Photography. Okay, great.
But if you want to do something else, we'll...
Yeah, maybe like, I don't know.
About, logging off Instagram. It reminds me of a story that happened a few years ago when you logged out for a while. Was a hard period. And then once you came back and you were so honest and very vulnerable because you shared what had happened to you and why you logged out. And how in that sharing your vulnerability with your community, how then everything became more together. There was connectivity. And through that, the problem was dissolved. I thought that was beautiful.
It was actually, and people were so sweet and kind when I shared why I'd been away. And now, I mean, I think now my followers know that every now and then I'm going to be gone for a few weeks. And usually I say that before. And I think people respect that. And yeah.
And Martin's asking, what's your perfect scenery feeling to be shot in? And so you collect ideas from past, for example, from childhood.
Oh, sorry, I just saw Stefano's comment.
Shall I read that again? Sorry, Martin, maybe I didn't read your question.
I just saw Stefano's comment.
Oh, yeah, Lina is strong.
Thank you.
So he wants to know about the scenery and the feeling, the vibe about it.
It's so, like, this is why I don't know if I could teach, because that's so hard to explain. It's so intuitive, and I mean, there's obviously certain things that are important when I take pictures, but it's not that I remember, oh, this happened to me, I'm going to try and reenact it. It's very intuitive.
It's very intuitive. Yeah. Oh, what kind of question is that? We are not running a date site here, so are you single? What? It's not a date site. You're in the wrong channel. Young. Oh, what do you like most about being a photographer?
Oh, I like to play. I think that's what I like the most. I like that I can stay curious and that I can keep exploring and playing, basically.
Oh, wow. Playing and keep exploring and being curious. Those are, yes. Yeah. Oh, love it. Perfect. And let's do question time. So Lina had an idea.
But do we not want to show the books?
Oh, yes, the books.
I've been waiting the whole time. when do I get
about
to
the
show them?
books.
You what?
We talked yesterday about the books that we were going to talk today about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I've been like sitting here. I've always been holding on to them, like ready to.
And my ones are here.
Do we have time? Do you know what time it is?
Let's have a look. Yes, we do. And if we don't, I can just stop for a minute and then we come back and say question time.
Okay, perfect. We can be brief with the books. We can be brief with the books. I don't even know what you wanted to. Did you look through them yesterday?
The books, yes. Yeah. I forgot because we were coding them yesterday. And tell me about how did you start publishing them? Because they were self-published. And so tell me, how did it start?
Well, I wanted to ask you what you remember. Like, which number did you come into my life?
I came into your life. Well, 8, I was definitely there. Because I remember that coming.
I think you've been around since number 5 or 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you kind of know what my process is. Well, this is very different because this is the re-edition that I'm holding on to. But Karol has the originals over there.
Yes.
So, and you know my process of making those. So the first 2 were actually published or were printed in Italy, but since then I printed them all at the same place in London. And I do almost everything myself. For a while I had an assistant, which was really nice, and she would post all the books for me. But then since, I think the last 2, I made smaller editions, and then I went back to posting them myself, and which is nice as well.
And I want to know, how did you decide to make them? Where did I get?
Oh yes. So, because I started to have followers online, I realized that there's probably a market for my books.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've always loved photo books. Like that's the first thing. I loved photo books before I loved going to exhibitions or before I liked to look in magazines, actually. It was the first love, was photo books. And so it was obvious, like, I am going to make a photo book. And then I was in touch with a publisher, and it was so slow, and they wanted to do something like 20 pages. It was really small, and they were really slow. And then I decided, okay, I'm just going to do this on my own and see how it goes.
Okay. Don't need to compromise pages and...
Yeah, exactly. So then Daniele Ratti, that you know as well.
Yeah.
He was going to publish a book in Italy, so he already knew like a printer. So he said, oh, you can print yours at the same time, something like this. And I was like, oh, great. And it did cost quite a lot of money, which I took from my own pocket. I think the second one I borrowed money from my dad, but the first one I think I paid myself. But I think I was confident enough that I would sell them eventually. And I think it took a year, and then I sold all 400 of the first one. And then after I made another one. And then I made 11.
Yes.
Yes.
And then there was a year that you made 2 in 1 year.
I think so, yeah.
So were they usually annual? Were they coming out like once a year or no?
No, I mean, I'm not very good. I'm not very good with keeping a schedule of when I do things. So it's more like when inspiration hits me. Like that's how I made 2 in a year. And there's probably a year when I didn't make any.
Okay.
Yeah. But in an ideal world, they would be coming out like February every year.
Okay,
but I don't do that. But I don't have to, because I do it myself as well.
Yeah. So after making them all by yourself, what happened?
Then they all sold out, which was amazing. They all started to sell out like within months, which was so good. And then they started to get really hard to get a hold of, especially the first few. And then GBE, I don't know how to pronounce that in French. This book publisher got in touch with me. And I mean, I'd already been talking to them about making another book, but then they were like, oh, we have a great idea. We want to republish all your books in the box. And I was like, yes, that's a great idea. So now,
like, agreed. It's a great idea.
Agreed. It was really, we had a really nice lunch, and now anyone can have the whole set.
This is fantastic. Because I know some people couldn't get this number, that number, and it's gone. There is no more copies. And so now you can get the whole books. Lucky you guys.
Lucky you.
Lucky you. And
I see Joelle is here.
Yes, and he says he's surrounded by students.
Oh, that's nice. Joelle, were you here from the beginning when Karol read your text?
Maybe he didn't, because if he says he's surrounded by students. Now there is a question here that says, does intention feel intuitive to you? Does it reveal itself in the process of creation, or are you sort of aware beforehand?
I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah, does intention feel intuitive to you? Does it reveal itself in the process of creation? Intention. Maybe the intention of what you want to say. But well, I know with my work, sometimes the intention, sometimes because of the intuitivity, it will come out, the intention. But it wasn't something that I was thinking, oh, that's exactly what I want to.
I think the same. And also, like both you and I were very clear in our core. Like we know like what we believe in.
Yeah.
So I think that comes out, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can do question time. There is something here that a little question mark. I never pressed that. I don't know what it is. Let me see what that is. What's your next project?
My next project?
Oh, I see. If I press the questions comes up.
Oh.
Exciting.
Oh, I see. Can you choose the questions or do they just all pop up?
No, there are people who put the question in the box. That's really good because then we can press and we can see it bigger.
Ah, okay. Great. So, do you want to do question time?
Yes. Next question time and next project. Oh.
What is my next
What are you currently working on?
Well, I finished it kind of, but I haven't released it yet. So I don't know if I've shown you. It's the double exposure. It's my body against statues.
No.
Okay. So I'm editing that, and I'm gonna try and find a way to release it, because it's so hard now to do things in the physical world. So I just have to think about how to best launch it.
Okay. I think about making a book. Some tips how to approach the whole thing.
Okay. There's so many different ways to make a book. So one is with a publisher, which is really easy in many ways because they're already part of the machine.
Okay, yeah.
And they already have all the connections with the bookshops and with printers. So you don't have to think so much with a publisher. But I think a lot of publishers these days, I don't even think they give money to the photographers, if I understood it correctly. Like if you're a young photographer, you might not get any money. But you also don't have to invest your own money, hopefully. That sometimes you have to do that as well.
But then
if you want...
But then they print the books for you, but you don't get any money.
No, you just get some books.
Oh.
Because so many people want to print books. There's so many things like that in this industry where they take advantage of creative people.
Yeah.
And other people make money off creative people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So what about your box set? You don't get anything when it's
No, this is done nicely.
Okay, good.
But I don't get, if I did it myself, I would get much more. I would get all the profits. Whereas now I just get a little percentage of the profit.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lina.
But I'm also not doing all the work. Like I'm not sending it to any bookshops. I'm not sending it to anyone. So.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I just want to fire a few questions that I do always before we get to question time. If you had a superpower, what would that be?
Yeah, I thought about this because I heard you ask other people. So I want to fly.
Fly?
Yeah.
Yes, I want to fly.
It's so strange because I'm so scared of flying, but I really want to fly. It seems amazing, no?
Mm-hmm. And if you would go back in time, where would that be?
Oh. I think I just want to go see my granddad again. I miss him. So I'll just go back 12 years in time and hang out with him.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Alex is saying about the books that most of the editors don't have money. There are some exceptions. So.
Yeah.
So
it's, making money from books is really, really hard because it costs a lot of money to print photo books, and it's also not, the market is not so big. It's not like with novels. I don't know if the market is so big for most novels either, but it's hard to sell a photo book and it's expensive to print it, in all fairness.
Well, Alex, you should would know more and tell us more also about it, because you are on the making of a book, huh?
How do you know?
And
it's your friend.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Have you ever dealt with rejection about your work, and how did you deal with that?
Oh God, good question. I dealt with, because I was a model for so many years before, I dealt with rejection about 4 times a day. Do you remember that, Karol, when we used to, because you used to model as well, and we used to go to like
Yeah,
5 or 6, 7 different
casting.
castings, and most people were not interested at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'd like spend an hour getting there, and they hardly look at you, and you're like, okay, bye. So I got quite used to it then, which I don't know if that's good to get used to ever. With my work, it's obviously different, but I am aware that my kind of work is not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's, now that you said that, it's so interesting, because I heard Patricia Arquette saying about when she started acting and how much rejection there was, and her dad was an actor as well, and her dad said to her, like, you know what, you go in, you just do your best, and you don't worry about whatever they are thinking, whatever you just go and do your best. And she said, that's what I kept doing. But it's different. People, we humans, we see things in different ways, and if we don't have an inspiring person, someone that tell us a good advice, something like that, you can be locked in the
of course,
in that game. Lina, so I'm just gonna say thank you. I'm gonna bring you back for question time, but I'm just gonna say thank you so much.
Thank you
Fantastic.
so much. It was beautiful to talk to you.
One thing here that I think about you as well when I read this again, Brené Brown, what an inspiration. It's which it's for us to, only when we are brave enough to explore darkness will we discover the infinite power of our light.
So good.
Thank you, Lina, and I'll bring you
Karol,
back for questions.
So how do I do that? Are you going to start another live?
Yes, so I'll close this one, and then I'll
see you there.